Hi, everybody. My name is Jason Major, and welcome back to the Biblical Cinematic Universe. Recently, I watched Prince of Egypt, and I really enjoyed that. But sometimes life gives you a gift, and this was sitting at the shelf of Game Cycle. It's called The Prince of the Nile: The Story of Moses, distributed by Family Room Entertainment. And basically, this is like back in the day when you had like animated classics coming out from Disney, or I guess or DreamWorks, and then someone basically would say, "Wow, that's public domain. We can make a direct-to-DVD movie of that at the same time. So you'll buy that, right?" And they've done other stuff like Hunchback of Notre Dame, Mulan, Beauty and the Beast, Pocahontas, Hercules. You get the idea. So I remember when I went to and I saw this and I traded some movies in for this and I looked at it and went. I was standing next to the bus stop going, "This looks stupid. I can't wait to see this. This looks stupid. I can't wait to see this. This looks really stupid. I can't wait to see this." It did not. It exceeded my expectations of entertainment. So let's get right into it. Now, is it a good animated movie or biblical movie? Well, actually, sorry. I can't believe I just said that. Okay. Okay. Is it a good animated movie? It's well, like I said, if you're willing to watch these type of cartoons, then yeah, actually, I thought it was okay. I mean, it was at least entertaining. The humor there was very children like humor in it, and that befitting of one of these kind of low budget animated films. But I felt like for a Saturday morning cartoon, it was entertaining to say the least. And if you enjoy cartoons, that you might enjoy it as a passable watch. Not to say it would be anything to write home about, but you'd be like, okay, that was 50 minutes of my time, whatever. The bad is that, again, like if you don't like cartoons, I don't think you're going to find much reason to watch this movie in the way that you would watch Prince of Egypt or a Disney movie or a Pixar movie, if you know what I mean. Like those the Prince of Egypt is something that even if you're not really an animated fan of cartoons, and you only watch one or two a year, that Prince of Egypt is something you watch. This is not like that. So let's get into how biblical this film is. Okay. First of all, I honestly think that what they did is they thought that they saw the story of the Prince of Egypt. And first of all, actually, when you put it on the screen, it actually says the Prince of Egypt, story of Moses, which I laughed at. That's hilarious. Clearly, this was around the same time as Prince of Egypt. But I think they took the story of Moses and said, how kid-friendly can we make it? We don't want to scare the kids. Because everything that involves death or dying, completely out of the movie, really. But weirdly, sometimes yes, sometimes not. So let's give you context. So the story starts out with, apparently Moses has a half-brother in this called Amun. Okay. Now, but unlike other biblical stories where that half-brother ends up growing to become the new Pharaoh, and has a conflict with Moses, in this movie, Ramses II is the current Pharaoh, so they don't even bother with Seti. He's the current Pharaoh, and he remains that Pharaoh throughout the entire story. And as I said, Amun is the grandson and the legitimate child of Moses' adopted mother, Egyptian mother. So they do the basket thing. That's fine. And then the baby in the basket, Moses, if you don't know the story. And then they're raising up the the little boys, and they're basically rivals to each other. And Moses ruins all Moon's fun from his point of view. The story is told through Moon's point of view. And Moses basically, Moon is like trying to basically, he likes whipping the slaves. So they like mention it. They're like, I used to like this. I used to like treating the slaves like this. And then you have Moses basically is like, No, no, no. Like he wants to piggyback on, or like do a horse ride on the slaves, and Moses thinks that that's great to the slaves. So he says, no, no, no. How about they do a piggyback on us, and we'll do a race that way. You know what I mean? So he's always trying to find ways to like make the slaves' lives better. When a moon is trying to degrade them, and then he goes to the Pharaoh and complains that the slaves aren't being treated right because he does know he's a Hebrew in this one. And then at some point in the movie, a moon follows Moses outside the city, so there's no death of the Egyptian or anything like that storyline or exile. He just the moon follows him outside the city, and there's a mountain just outside the city of Ramses, and Moses is talking to the burning bush. Okay, and then the next thing you see Moses goes back to Pharaoh, and there's three like sorcerer guys, and I swear the sorcerer guys could have been in an episode of Man of Maniacs or something. And what you have is that, you know, Moses turns his staff into a snake, and then you see the sorcerers do the same. And like, there's one point where this sorcerer, he turns his staff to a snake, and the snake like kind of looks at its head and kind of nods like this, kind of like, okay, like, you want me to do what? Like, okay, and then goes and fights with Moses' snake, and then Moses' snake, of course, kills the others. So that's from the Bible. But then they skip the reds, like I said, they skip the blood one, the Nile turning to blood, because I guess that would be scary. And they go straight to the frogs. At one point, when Moses raises his staff to get rid of the frogs, they just disappear completely. They hop off. And then they kind of have like a thunderstorm or a hailstorm or something. Like that. I guess that's supposed to be the hail and brimstone. But like they kind of skip things, and then all of a sudden the next plague is like mice. Which again, I don't know why. Like all the plagues of like the animals dying and stuff is all out. And then, but the mice, just so you know, the mice are in another Bible story. The Philistines, when they stole the ark in the books of Samuel, that actually happened, and mice were the plague that was sent to the Philistines. So it's not like that had no context for being a plague. And now that you think about it, mice probably would have been a problem in the midst of all these other plagues that are legitimately in the Bible. But again, I think the mice are actually just a substitute for the death of the livestock and pestilence and the idea of pestilence and boils and all that. Because mice carry pestilence, right? And then after that, Moses is thrown into jail, and he Pharaoh had taken the staff, right? His staff, as a snake comes through the jail window and becomes a staff again. So, and then that was funny. And then Moses sees the burning bush in his jail cell, and the burning bush says, you know, the Pharaoh will be forced to let your people go tonight. I want you to put on your doorpost red. It just says red. He doesn't say anything about the death of the lambs. It just says red. And so that becomes the death of the firstborn, but instead it's not the death of the firstborn. It's just the Egyptians coming and saying, all our children are becoming sick. All our firstborn children are becoming sick. And then Moses waves his staff and says, yes, your children will be okay. So the first death of the firstborn doesn't happen. They actually like tell them that like they'll be okay. And then after that, you finally have the Red Sea parting, and that was comical. And Pharaoh actually dies in this one, which is different than other biblical Ten Commandments tales. So, and then that's how it ends. Now, do I think that this is blasphemous? No, I think that this was meant to be for children. I think that they were just kind of adapting it for children, like I said, kind of taking all the stuff they felt was too scary for a first grader, literally, and adapting it for a little child. I thought it was comical. It was fine. It was fun. And yeah, maybe I wouldn't show it on Sunday school but I definitely think it's just a silly piece of entertainment. This has been Jason Maynard from Biblical Cinematic Universe. We'll continue on in our time, but I give this film, from my point of view, a 6 out of 10 from how ridiculous it is. And when you think about it, that's actually higher than at least 2 or 3 different Ten Commandment movies that I have actually watched. Thank you very much. Talk to you next time.